I have seen my fair share of romance stories, classmates falling in love, two people bonding over shared interests, unlikely pairs coming together. But one trope I find myself dwelling on a lot is humans falling in love with ghosts. The idea of a love that transcends time and mortality. A love that can't really be shared with others. A love that is sometimes fleeting. Ghosts are just one part of the larger paranormal genre, and paranormal romance at that. Someone is kissing any and every type of monster out there, and I love that from them. From zombies and vampire romances to witches, angels, and demons, it was kind of a huge staple in teen literature in the late 2000s. The amount of books that fall into that category I read growing up is actually kind of wild. Paranormal romance is an entire genre of fiction that we partially explored in my horror romance games video, just a tad, but ghosts, I think, are a bit different. More often than not, the ghosts that we fall in love with are not really portrayed as monsters. Instead, they're just as human as you and I. They're misunderstood. People that we have to break down their walls and get to know beyond the ooh, scary ghost kind of energy. It got me thinking, why do we keep falling in love with ghosts? What is it about this trope that oftentimes find itself doomed that is appealing to audiences? While I am going to mostly look at anime to explore this trope, it is not exclusive to anime or even Japanese media for that matter. That's just the form of media I consume the most of outside of Minecraft YouTube. That being said, this video does contain some spoilers for Anohana, possibly Bound Hanako-kun, and Dusk Maiden of Amnesia, but just so you're aware, those are the anime we're talking about. The anime Anohana follows a group of teens coming together again years after the death of their childhood friend. However, the main draw of the series is more so to do with the way that romance and grief intertwine, especially between the main character and the dead friend, who's back as a ghost, appearing as she would have if she were alive and growing with the rest of her peers. Grief paints every crevice of this story. A what if as the characters finally reconcile with the death of Menma. The shared guilt that isolated the group as they blame themselves for her death is the main motivator for many of their actions. All of this is an aspect of their grief. Ghost stories allow for us to explore the pain of losing loved ones and the full spectrum of grieving. Anohana specifically tackles the loss of a loved one and the loss of potential futures. The death of a child leaves countless futures untold. Menma had a whole life ahead of her. Half of the main cast also had a crush on her, and that complicated their feelings after her death. It was more than losing a dear friend. She was cherished and adored, and those in her life wanted to spend the rest of their lives with her. Everyone looked up to her and held her a little bit on a pedestal. What if she hadn't died? Would she have ended up picking one of her friends to spend the rest of her life with? How would things have turned out? The main character, Jintan, finds his crush resurfacing with the presence of Menma's ghost. Actually, he's the only one that can see and directly interact with her, rekindling their bond and sparking his feelings once more. However, due to the nature of her being dead, these two will never actually have a relationship together. Their love is for a time that's past, for a person who is out of reach. In this story, their mutual love was fleeting. Menma can't stay forever, as the whole purpose of the actions taken in this show is to help her spirit pass on by granting her big wish. It's a story about coming together to work through grief, about doing things in the memory of a loved one, about processing all those feelings and learning to let go. Grief is something that everyone will experience in some shape or form. It's a very human experience that displays the hard parts of loving someone or something. The ways in which that love impacts and changes a person. The ways in which a person can be undone with the absence of another. A love story between a person and a ghost, particularly the ghost of someone they knew while they were alive, is a fantasy of finding comfort in someone's presence after they've already passed. Act on feelings that hadn't been acted on yet. In the case of Anohana, it's also the fantasy of being able to fulfill wishes ungranted, to clear up any regrets. And in the process of getting this one last moment, the closure of helping someone you love after they have passed, getting to finally confess, we learn how to handle this loss, how to connect with someone who's no longer here, and how at the end of the day, the time spent with our loved ones is precious and nothing can change that. Minma and Jintan's confession is done through tears as her spirit fades, as she passes on. A love that has transcended mortality, but one that's doomed to never flourish. But that's okay, because it was a love that they felt, and they will always have that memory as they walk through their respective life and afterlife. It is something that was real for a time, and it is something that they will continue to carry with them. Loving a ghost is loving the memory of a person who has passed, and when that ghost passes on, it's a sign that we shouldn't cling to the past. The characters of Anohana were miserable, self-sabotaging in their grief, and the journey they went on to resolve that is a journey of processing and healing. A journey that leaves them better than when they started it. A journey of handling their grief and reconciling with the tragedy that was Menma's death. We can't bring someone back to life, but we can honor their memory as we continue on with our own lives, just as the cast of Anohana learns in the series. And I think in a way that can be a very pure form of love, because the person you are loving is no longer around to benefit from that love, and you don't really benefit from sharing that love, but it's something that we do anyway, because human beings are loving creatures more often than not, and I think that's beautiful. And that's like one aspect of ghost romance that I think doesn't really get to come through in other types of paranormal romances or romances between two normal human beings. And I just think that's neat.
You did say that you wanted somebody to share your feelings, didn't you? Well, now that we've entered into a bond, I'm sure we'll share all sorts of things.
Toilet Bound Hanako-kun is about a girl who gets swept up in the world of ghost stories and solving supernatural mysteries around her school when she makes a deal with the spirit Hanako. She originally wished for her crush to fall in love with her, but ended up turning into a fish and making a deal with Hanako to become human again, mostly. Throughout the series, Nene finds herself working with Hanako to stop other spirits at the school from causing chaos. And along the way, not only are we humanizing these other spirits, we're also getting to watch Hanako and Nene bond. And Nene becomes more and more curious about Hanako's history, which she learns tidbits of here and there. As these two get to know each other and spend more time together, we begin to watch them fall for one another. But it's a relationship that wouldn't truly be possible. Hanako is dead. He died decades ago, and his spirit is bound to the school. Nene is alive and well, for now, and Hanako would like to keep it that way. Another pair from the same series is Ko and Mitsuba, a human and the ghost of one of his classmates, an unlikely pair that is determined to stay friends, determined to keep each other safe despite the ways in which their friendships contradict their missions, despite the ways that humans and ghosts shouldn't mix. There's a sense of longing between these two pairs that's felt throughout the series. If only things were different, if only they could have lived normal lives together. With Ko and Mitsuba, we see Ko working to make Mitsuba happy as if he were alive. We also see Ko entertain the idea of dying so he can stay with Mitsuba. And I don't know about you guys, but that does sound like doomed love to me. Whether it's platonic or romantic, that's not for me to say. With Nene and Hanako, we see Hanako indulging in the little moments he gets, knowing that his time with Nene is limited, knowing that even as things are now, they can't truly be together. They shouldn't. The sense of longing isn't exclusive to the human and ghost pairings, but it adds an element of trying to beat the odds that is not as extreme amongst two mortal humans. It's the Romeo and Juliet, kind of, but like cranked up to 1,000. That makes sense. Longing to change what fate has already put into motion, longing to make a difference for someone you care about despite the odds being against you, longing to stay in this moment where everything is perfect. Longing or yearning is something that many people are drawn to in fiction because it's this heightened version of being cherished. Many of us enter relationships in our real lives that are not ideal, not full of love, and can leave us feeling unlovable at worst, not cared for, not worth it. But in these stories that highlight the yearning, the gentle care in which two beings love one another, it caters to this fantasy of a connection that seeks to defy the odds. It tells you that you're worth it all, to even just spend a moment in your presence. People love a yearner. I think this is also something that translates to real life, but like I don't know as much about that. But in fiction, we love yearners. The way that they show their love is something that is almost tangible for readers or watchers, and it's something that shows like a pure devotion to the love interest in that fiction that a lot of people wish to experience in real life. That sense of true love, but it's not just true love. It is love that has an importance placed onto it. It is a love that is lived by, that is actively shown, because you can love somebody all day and never actually show that. And I think showing the yearning and the longing in fiction helps convey the feelings that these characters feel for one another and show just how deep those feelings are. And everybody wants to feel deeply loved, unconditionally loved. So that's not really exclusive to ghost stories. It's not exclusive to ghost stories at all, but I think them being a ghost and trying to bridge that gap between humans and ghosts and finding a way to make it work adds to the yearning, because it's not just, oh, I really like you, I wish things would work out. It's, hey, I don't even care that we are two entities that shouldn't be allowed to be together. Like, we're gonna work something out, or at the very least, we're going to enjoy the time that we have because you are worth it. And this is a moment that is going to be cherished forever. That's like the energy it gives. Ko and Mitsuba are two people who care deeply for one another. Hanako and Nene are two people who hold one another dear and long for their time spent together, and they are willing to do what is necessary to protect or help one another. The nature of Mitsuba and Hanako both being dead gives these relationships a sense of being temporary. I've not read the Hanako manga. I'm not even done with season 2 of the anime, so if that changes, cool. I would love to see that. But this is my thoughts on ghost romance in regards to Hanako-kun based on what I've seen so far. When Ko and Nene aren't at school, they can't see or communicate with their respective ghosts. These connections can't go beyond the walls of where the ghosts are bound. These relationships exist only in that narrow world, and away from Nene and Ko's more normal lives. They can't share this connection with others in their life either. Nene can't have Hanako meet her friends and family. She can't talk about him very much with her friends because then she would sound a little crazy. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but a lot of people don't actually believe in ghosts, let alone ghosts that you can talk to and form a connection with. In fact, only those who are close to death are even capable of seeing Hanako at all, so like the vast majority of her peers will have no clue what she's talking about and will not even be able to find out. So not just anyone can stumble across these ghosts that Nene and Ko have created deep bonds with. So in a way, Nene and Ko are special. They're built different. This separates them from their peers and further isolates their relationships with Hanako and Mitsuba. It's almost like a secret relationship, one that you hide from those around you because of what they may say or a desire to keep private. In the world of Toilet Bound Hanako-kun, a relationship between a ghost and a human is kind of treated like it's taboo. In a way, it's forbidden romance. Nene finds herself thinking about what she should do about her impossible situation. From every angle, her potential romance with Hanako is doomed, yet she still holds hope, and we still root for her and him. We hope for a way that these two can be together. We hold on to hope that they can beat the odds, and we revel in their longing for one another. I can't really speak for what's happening in the story past like halfway through season 2, but there are many points that I have seen so far where Nene and Hanako's yearning for one another kind of becomes plot points. Their feelings are driving factors to their actions. Hanako is willing to break all of the rules to keep Nene safe, and Nene is willing to put herself in danger if it means she gets to see Hanako again. She finds herself in all sorts of situations just trying to even learn more about her dear ghost friend that she wishes to be closer with. Their mutual yearning is a core aspect of the story, and if Nene and Hanako can find love for one another despite their circumstances, then there's hope for the audience as well. Something that we're going to talk about a little bit later with a different anime that I think adds to Nene and Hanako's romance and just ghost stories at large is this idea of second chances in your afterlife and finding people in unexpected places. Because let's be real, most of us are not really expecting to find love beyond the normal human peers that we are currently alive with today, right? But this idea of being able to connect with someone from a time that's long past, this idea of being able to build this bond that is so different and unique than what you could possibly build with your peers that are alive on Earth with you today, is something that I think is very intriguing, especially for people who do feel a disconnect with their peers due to maybe neurodivergence or just like differences in their personality, or maybe just like some people are quirky and really into historical things and feel a little isolated from their peers. I mean, we've all seen people say they're born in the wrong generation. I think those people would eat up a ghost romance. Girl who thinks she wanted to be born in like the Renaissance period meets a Renaissance ghost and they fall in love. I mean, it's perfect, truly. I think a lot of us can in some ways relate to feeling distanced or isolated from people around us, from feeling like we don't quite fit in. And I think ghost romances tap into that. I don't know if that makes sense. This is off script, by the way. But I think that has something to do with the appeal of ghost romances. And we take this same idea into Dusk Maiden of Amnesia as well.
最初に会ったのはここでしたよね。
そうね。
Dusk Maiden of Amnesia tells the story of a mortal boy who has befriended a ghost at his school, and through trying to help her find out how she died, the two fall in love. I mean, there's more to it than that. It's a little bit like Hanako-kun, where they're solving ghost stories around the school as well. Dusk Maiden of Amnesia does take that idea of falling in love with somebody from a different time period, but also it focuses a lot on connections and this like eternal bond. The anime and manga differ on the details of Yuko's death, with the anime focusing more on the connections between the ghost Yuko and the boy Teichi. In the anime, not only are they connected through their current bond, but Teichi's grandmother is also connected to Yuka and her death. By the end of the story, Yuko and Teichi are bound for eternity, as her spirit loses its ties to the school and her new regret becomes not being able to stay with Teichi. Their love transcended the limitations of mortality. In a way, I feel this kind of mirrors the soulmates trope, with the two ending up together despite the circumstances. Right place, wrong time no longer applies to these two as they become intrinsically linked. Humans are drawn to romances where things work out despite the odds. It gives us hope for our own lives if we feel that finding love is against all odds for us. Where it really feels like there's someone out there for you no matter what, it's going to work out. Even if she died 60 years ago, I still have a chance. You can still find a way. When love begins to feel like destiny, it means that even if you are alone now, you won't always be. And people find great comfort in that. Many people crave having a life partner of some kind. It's something that we as humans make a really huge goal and a milestone in our lives, and it's a thing that is widely celebrated across the world. But it's also something that can be incredibly difficult to find. The idea of soulmates conquers the fear of being alone forever. But ghost romances ask the question, what if my soulmate is someone who lived and died in the past? Someone out of my time? Dusk Maiden of Amnesia is the answer where things do work out, where the ghost chooses to stay by their mortal love instead of passing on, where they seem to get their happy ending as a couple. We also get to explore eternal companions. Yuko's new wish is to stay by Techi's side forever. In life and in death, one can only assume. There's something beautiful about a love that goes beyond death for both sides. A love that, for all intents and purposes, is eternal. Forever. We love to romanticize this idea of mating for life and picking a person that becomes your forever home. I think it's something many people look for when dating, and it is the ideal behind marriage, with the caveat that you're marrying for love and not like an arranged political marriage or whatever. I am aware that marriage is not always done for this purpose. But for most people in the present day, I hope they're marrying for love. With romance between a human and a ghost, that idea of an eternal romantic bond seems more achievable. If a ghost can find love after death, then surely this was meant to be. And when the mortal eventually passes, the two will continue to love in the afterlife. Ghosts together, sharing their afterlife together, eternally linked. And fun thing about ghost stories, if a ghost story is going to exist, then within the framework of that story, there is some form of an afterlife. You don't just cease to exist once you're dead. And I think that's a very appealing fantasy for a lot of people. Many religions across the world do believe in an afterlife, but not everybody believes in religions. Not everybody on the planet believes in the existence of an afterlife. However, many religions and spiritual practices do. So it kind of shows me that people crave existence after death. And ghost romances also tap into that a little bit. And not only are we having a life after death, but with Dusk Maiden of Amnesia, we're having a wonderful romance after death as well. One thing I don't really see talked about much with these kinds of romances is the idea that someone wants to stick by you and love you after witnessing your truest self, and at your worst. If someone is going to be bound to you forever, like Yuko and Techi, then it makes sense that your person will get to know you painfully well. And one thing about ghosts, a lot of times they have a tendency to be able to be present when most people can't if they're not bound to a specific room, or they sneak up on you when you think you're alone, so they're able to witness you in a true and vulnerable form that most people wouldn't until, I don't know, I guess like some people when they have a life partner, they get to where they can be themselves, that they are by themselves with that partner. But with Yuko being bound to Techi now, she's going to see him at his worst, at his most vulnerable, and still claim him as hers. Still love him even when he may not love himself. She'll see him through every aspect of his life. She's literally bound to his side, like she can go anywhere with him. And she probably will. I think this is an aspect of what makes these kind of romances so appealing. But on the flip side, in the context of Dusk Maiden of Amnesia, Techi gets to know Yuko pretty well, and he solves the mystery of her death and even finds her corpse, which low-key kind of feels like a metaphor for seeing her at her core. I mean, he literally sees her skeleton. You don't get more core than a skeleton. I'm gonna be so for real, unless you count like the muscles inside. That's beyond the point. Techi sees her at her most vulnerable, and he sees what lies at her core, and he chooses her every time. Yuka's bond with Techi is so strong that she's determined to stick by him forever, always at his side through his best and his worst moments. And he is also bonded to her and choosing to stick by her after seeing her at her worst, after getting to know the Yuko behind the mask, after getting to truly know her. And many of us find that beautiful. It's why we're drawn to romances like the one in Dusk Maiden of Amnesia. I don't think everybody struggles with this, but I do think many of us have this struggle of feeling like at our core, we're different than how we present to the world, and in some cases, maybe we feel less lovable, less likable at our core. Or if you're of the autistic persuasion, you might even feel like people never actually get to know you. So this fantasy of having this human and this ghost get to truly see one another kind of like fixes something in you sometimes. Ghost romances showcase love that transcends death, the one inevitable finality of mortality. In a way, it's comforting to think of loving someone beyond our time on Earth, beyond our lives. Ghost romances contain the yearning, the longing for a partner to the extreme of finding love in unlikely places, maybe even finding love in a time beyond you. If I died, not finding anyone on Earth, but 30 years from now I fall in love with some alive person as a ghost, maybe there is someone out there for me. Even if it has to wait until I'm dead. I don't know. Ghost romances can showcase a love so powerful, so deep, that the rules of the universe seem to rewrite themselves for the sake of the two that are in love. But they also serve as a way to explore grief and love and how the two intertwine. Another part of the inevitability of death is that we're all going to lose someone that we love. Maybe not in a romantic sense, but the depictions of grieving love, even when romantic, can still be impactful despite the exact type of love and grief you're dealing with. Loving a ghost is a multifaceted tool that we can use to explore all different kinds of love. Doomed, destined, the quiet love of someone's memory. A metaphor for undying love, a parallel to any real-life romances that may feel forbidden, an exploration of devotion, all with the extra spice of being a paranormal romance, and all the fun, unique spins that come with that. I just really wanted to yap about ghost romances for Halloween, and what makes them feel so special, but like I have genuinely been thinking about this a lot. I've been watching Bound Hanako-kun for the first time this year, and I'm set. I'm so set for this human and ghost romance pair. Anyway, I've seen this trope a lot, and I was kind of curious, so I wanted to yap and untangle my thoughts about it. What do you guys think about ghost romances? Do they scratch something in your brain? Have you also wondered why do I keep coming across so many romances involving ghosts? This isn't even touching the amount of romances between two dead people, things like angel beats. I feel like that's a little bit categorically different, but also the same. Anyway, and I think that is it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little yap sesh. If you like these more general talking about like tropes and themes instead of like zeroing down on one specific series, please let me know. I've had fun making them, but I know it's a little bit different from the like special zoomed in to like a very specific thing that I have usually made. So let me know what you feel about that. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. And I can go ahead and say I've been making a video about the history of Yuri, and I think that's going to be my next video because I kind of hyperfixated on scripting and researching for it. So anyway, bye!